Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to do a video today about my aquaponics system and aquaponics in general as a growing method. Happens to be my favorite, as the amount that you can produce is just ridiculous. Like, take for instance these two Roma tomato plants. I planted these as seedlings, it might be a month ago now, and I grew them from seed about 2 or 3 weeks before that. But when I put them in here, they had two true leaves, were growing their other leaves, and still had the seedling leaves that I plucked off as soon as I planted them. But basically, since then, they've just been in my aquaponic bed in here in my greenhouse. And oh yeah, they are already flowering. I've just been doing how I pollinate my tomato plants is just by shaking the flowers. Looks like these guys are opening up today. This one's been being pollinated already for about a week almost. So it's starting to grow the tomatoes. This one's ready to be pollinated today. But currently I have just 3 Roma plants growing in this aquaponic bed, which I could fit quite a bit more. I just don't right now because as the suckers grow, I pluck them off and root them. I do have my vanilla orchid sitting back there. But one thing about aquaponics is a lot of people believe, and it's kind of taught, that you can only grow like lettuce and leafy greens and things like that in here. And while yes, you can, I have some right there that's been in there for a while that isn't doing so well for some reason, but I've found that just with, a little bit of extra effort and like having biofilters that have lots of media in them so that bacteria can grow and in turn turn any waste materials into nutrients for my gorgeous plants. You see how these guys are kind of sweating? It's because it's humid in here. But the little extra effort, really all it is like, so the fish are creating the nutrients. They eat the food, they poo, that creates ammonia and nitrites, which get eaten by the bacteria and turned into nitrates and other nutrients. The food, like extra food, will also get broken down into like potassium and phosphorus, very small amounts, mind you, but they will still be created, as well as other nutrients. Like, if there's snails and stuff in there, the shells will get broken down and things. I do have snails in here. I used to have prawns and shrimp, but they died out because it got too cold over the winter. Right now I just have some goldfish in here, but that alone over the last 4 months and the extra fish food, I grew collards in here since last summer all over winter and fed my lizards, as well as growing some other things. I grew a loofah sponge gourd plant to a really huge size in here till I just decided to pull it out because it was taking up too much space. Grew a miniature pumpkin plant. Basically anything I've planted in here is done rather well as long as I prep the bed for it. There are some things that they need to be planted while they're quite small before they get aerial roots or they will drown. And there are some things that can be transplanted, like pepper plants and things, when they're full size, and they'll be just fine. They'll suffer some transplant shock for a day or two, but the constant access from the flow and drain bed it keeps them happy. Here's some of my tomato suckers I planted over this last week in here, and I'm gonna pluck them next week and plant them in their pots. But having enough bacterial media and bacterium space in your biofilters is a big deal in aquaponics. You can only make so many nutrients so fast with, however much bacteria you have. That's why I have these giant biofilters attached to these tanks. I don't need biofilters this size. I want them because I want the bacterial growth and the bacterial space so that when I throw in the extra fish food and the fish don't consume it, it doesn't just create an ammonia spike or a nitrite spike and kill everything. The bacteria are able to very quickly break things down, even the waste. And I do have to unplug the lines every once in a while because I rather stupidly put a reduction into the barrel when I should have just left it 2-inch pipe, but it was hard to find a coupler that big. Anyways, long story short, large biofilter means more bacteria, means more nutrient consumption and acquisition. So being able to have a large enough biofilter, being able to make the nutrients for the plants that you're trying to water, it makes a big difference. If you don't have a large enough biofilter, or if your grow bed doesn't have enough nucleation sites in the media to grow bacteria, that's why I use lava rock instead of regular gravel in this bed. I wanted it to have more sites for bacteria to grow in the bottom of the bed where the gravel stays wet more. It makes a difference. This bed grows food way better than my beds that have pea gravel in them. And I guarantee this is why. Bacteria can sit in these little holes and grow. So it's being able to control the ecosystem. Aquaponics is, you basically kind of play God. You have to care for everything, not just the fish that are in here, but I have to care for the water. I have to care for the bacteria in order to make sure that they in turn will care for my plants. I mean, it's amazing. This thing is growing like crazy still, and I'm just moving it. I'm going to start trellising it across here. And this, even down here, is starting to grow suckers out of these branched leaves. I love it. So much growth. And once you get your tank established and everything is going properly, it is easy to keep it going. I have done nothing but add water to this and feed my fish every day for the last 6 months since I had it established. So yeah, every once in a while I do pull the center out and I clean out that center stack to get some of the rock that falls through the grate and all that, just to clear up that tube so it doesn't end up getting plugged or anything. But I mean, yeah, this is so low maintenance. Once it's running, it's easy. And if you use a fish like goldfish or koi or tilapia or catfish that can handle really low temperatures, then you don't even really need to have a tank heater. It helps to keep the water from freezing in the wintertime, so both these tanks have tank heaters. But if you have fish that can withstand freezing temperatures and you make sure the water just doesn't freeze, you're pretty much good to go. You don't have to worry about letting them get too cold. This greenhouse got down to freezing at least 3 or 4 times during the wintertime, and none of the fish died because of that. The ones that did die, the koi, were because I accidentally was throwing in way too much food, as well as the water just got way too hot and the oxygen levels plummeted and they all suffocated. So, which is another thing you have to be wary of. That's why there's so many bubbles on the top of here. I have an air ring in here that's constantly shooting up bubbles, and as well as when it drains, it shoots up bubbles and aerates everything. And I have a big air ring inside this tank too that shoots up bubbles and it aerates the water. The aeration not only gives the fish oxygen, but it also gives the bacteria oxygen. You want aerobic bacteria in your aquaponic system, not anaerobic. If you do your aquaponic system not quite proper and you don't have enough oxygen flowing in, you will create an anaerobic situation somewhere, whether it's up in your bed in the corner or somewhere down in your biofilter, and it'll make a stink. And it will also release toxins, and you'll start having either sick fish or sick plants or just a nasty stink with bugs infestating it. Just something you will know, because it will attract something, whether it's damaged plants or insects. But in my strong opinion, once you get it established, aquaponics is the most superior growing method, because I also plumb in my NFT systems into this big tank when I grow during this grow season. Like in the next week or so, I'm setting up my 2 NFT pyramids that are 72 cells each, and I'm going to be growing greens all summer, and it's going to be great. That's, feeding them with these aquaponic tanks is going to mean that those plants get all the nutrients they need, and I can just circulate the water right back into the biofilter with that upper pipe hole that's attached to it out here. That's what this is for. That's my NFT inlet, so when the NFT drains out the bottom, I can have it pump right back up and into the biofilter here, and then it goes right back into the tank. It's a beautiful day. It just takes a little bit of maintenance, and I do, like I said, I feed my fish. Here's my smaller tank that I use with my pea gravel that I have a dragon fruit growing in since last summer, that I basically unplumbed and just hand water the dragon fruit every once in a while. But I stopped trying to grow the dragon fruit in here so much because I just wanted it to establish roots and see how well it would do in the gravel like that. But I did have a bunch of lettuce in here and grew it for a while, ate off of it, and then finally just plucked them when they went to seed. Now it's basically been empty since, because I've been waiting to do a couple of experiments with it, as well as I want to change out that gravel for lava rock, because I don't like that the pea gravel doesn't have enough nucleation sites in it, all the holes and stuff for the bacteria to grow. Aquaponics aside, I'm excited about being able to graft with my new little grafting tool. This is my Awari Satsume cutting that it's already showing bud swelling after just 2 weeks of being grafted, maybe just a week and a half, as well as my pink variegated lemonade, or lemon, Eureka lemon. It's showing bud swelling too. I tried to root these first, and they just had some rot issues, so I cut that off and got them ready and just grafted them, and they're doing really well. Kishu mandarin is growing branches and doing really well. It's starting to get its first leaves. I'm excited about that. That's going to look really beautiful later this season. As well as we still got some bud swelling going on this Kishu mandarin branch that's grafted to this Meyer lemon rootstock, rather, instead of the dwarf that I usually use, because I want it to get large. So that's it for this video though, folks. If you find my information, useful, like, share, and subscribe. And please comment below. Give me some more ideas. Sorry about the mess in here. I've been doing a lot of things and cleaning up and moving stuff around for the market, trying to decide what I want to do next in here. So anyways, like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day.